Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode number 613 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Monday, March 31st, 2025, although it is not at all feeling like spring in certain parts of Canada for the past little while. If you've been living in Ontario, that we've had a bit of an ice storm that is moving up towards Timmins and then through Quebec and to Atlantic Canada. If you haven't started having it yet, we had 390,000 people throughout Ontario without power at its peak. A little damage to the Beaver Lodge as well there, if Mr. Grizzly shows that first photo. But we have a tree in our backyard all the way at the back where a huge branch got cracked off and is only being held by the telephone company wires. So that sort of formed a little basket and are holding it. So they'll hopefully be coming by today to remove that. But and since then, that was early yesterday morning. Since then, many more branches have cracked and fallen from the tree. So we're hoping that we haven't lost more than 30% of it, because if it is, then arborists tell us that the tree will probably have to come down because it will die on its own. But yeah, it's been a pretty bad storm here. Peterborough and Barrie area municipality declared state of emergency, and power has been restored to over 200,000 customers, but the utility says the work will not be done for days. If you are in Peterborough, Michelle Ferreri had a very interesting and very helpful thing to say, because a state of emergency had been declared, so therefore people were encouraged to stay in. And what did she post, Mr. Grizzly?
Trying to bring it up here. Having problems.
Okay.
For some reason my computer's lagging.
Gotcha. Michelle Ferreri didn't seem to much care about the emergency weather, and was sending this type of message that was unhelpful, standing outside, I'm going to guess, is her house, given that she isn't wearing a coat, because she didn't go very far, with the sign in front of her house, with her thumbs up, going woohoo, and basically, who cares about an ice storm? We have a country to save.
Just despicable behavior. Expected from her, though.
Yes, at Tanya Rain. Oh, good grief. Michelle Ferreri. We're being warned to take emergency measures due to ice accumulation, and you post who cares about an ice storm? Do you have any common sense? And by the way, voters in the area of Peterborough, we know that it's a very, very tight race based on what polling is showing. And we see you out there. with your people have taken it upon themselves to create no more Ferrari signs specifically. I kind of like them. They have beautiful colors. You will notice they're, I believe, orange, green, and red,
Yes.
the colors of the three other parties.
Yeah, green says no, more is orange, and MP Ferrari in red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People seem to have had enough of her.
Yeah.
Please let it be so. So, but we see you, Peterborough. Way to go. Way to do democracy there. All right. Did you have any weather stuff, Mr. Grizzly?
Not at the moment. I'm having too many computer issues to deal with.
Okay, no problem.
We're going to wait on. Not going to bring anything up until I can get things operational here.
No worries, no worries. So yeah, wherever you are, please stay safe. Don't be a Michelle. All right, a few podcast. Thanks goes to our podcast founding sponsors: the Pepper Master, the Mystery Mysteries from Corvin Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. I'm going to guess, given the technical problems, mental health is a little testy today.
No, actually, it isn't. Surprisingly, no. Well, so Sunday was a very bad day. A terrible day for me. I was not functioning well at all. I had only gotten 4 hours sleep the night before, and when I only get 4 hours sleep, my mental health really suffers. So yesterday was terrible. I had a bunch of errands I was supposed to run. They had to all be shelved till today. So yeah, yesterday was bad, and last night I watched the Juno Awards and immediately went to bed and slept until the alarm went off. When the alarm went off, I'm like, didn't I just get here? I just got here. The alarm went off, and I'm like, oh my God, like that was 2 minutes ago. No, that was 30 minutes ago. Huh. So yeah, I slept well. I didn't, although when I woke up, just before I woke up, I was dreaming I was shopping somewhere at a liquidation sale, and I was trying to buy a pair of pants, and I found a pair, but they didn't fit. So then I bought a shirt, and then, oh, look at this, we got a cigar cutter, and then the alarm went off. It was very and strange.
Okay. I did not get to watch the Junos last night, so I will watch them. But
I missed the first 15 minutes, though, unfortunately.
So I did miss them. However, the big winner, as I probably expected, because I've been talking to you about her for a little bit, Tate McRae took 4 Junos. I think she was nominated in 5 categories and took 4. So, including Album of the Year. So, when her song "Greedy" came out, apparently she was already well known. She was well known through "So You Think You Can Dance" already.
Yeah. So that's so.
She was one of the youngest competitors.
Yeah, I don't really know her music, to be honest
with
you.
Very pop, very dance.
Which is fine. I'll give it a listen. Yep. It's just the only radio station I listen to these days is CBC. Sorry, folks. Sorry for all my radio friends, but that's all I have time for, really, is CBC radio. And I put it on, when we're not doing the show. Usually first thing in the morning, I'll listen to it, and then I'll listen to it later in the day. But I'm monitoring so many feeds, just trying to keep up with stuff, that my music consumption is limited basically to an online streaming service. And since they're not paying us, I'm not going to say their name, but an online streaming service, and they have their new music Tuesdays, I think it is, or whatever. There's a week there where and I try and listen, but it's like, there's just so much crap you got to sort through to get to anything good. And I'm not picking on today's music, because there's a lot of brilliant music being written today and produced and performed and recorded and released. However, there's a lot of garbage out there.
Yep.
So much garbage. Like, you get to separate the wheat from the chaff. It takes a while.
Yep, indeed. So, she won for Artist of the Year. Her single X's was named Single of the Year. It's a bit of a banger if you like pop dance songs. Their album, Think Later, won both album and pop album of the year. Unfortunately, she wasn't there because she was playing in a festival in Brazil. And then, of course, Michael Bublé hosted. And the thing with Anne-Marie, Thank you, Kit Jim, who supplied. It wasn't Hall of Fame because the first
Lifetime
one was there. It
achievement.
was Lifetime Achievement. I
Yeah.
knew there had to be something. I just couldn't
I'm like,
think of it at the time.
she's already in the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
Didn't
well,
she
that's why I
build
was
the damn thing?
surprised. Right. But it's like even Lifetime Achievement, I thought that she probably would have had that already too.
Guess not. It was
Guess
cool
not.
though. She came out in a Team Canada hockey sweater.
Yeah. And then there were other winners. We will go into it when we have more time, but a particular note, Lisa P did win an award, which I liked, and the Snotty Nose Reds Kids won an award. So, boom. Yes. Love it.
Yeah, well, and it was funny last week when they released the live artists and featured artists for the show. A friend of mine who works in the business was like, I only know Maestro Fresh West and one other person. I'm like, oh, I know Snotty Nose Rest Kids, and I know Alyssa P, and I know this other person. The rest of them I'm not quite sure of. So he goes, wow, I work in the business, and you know, he's like, I don't know, man. I discover it through a streaming service oftentimes. So
Yep. Exactly.
and his radio station is a streaming service.
Ah. Well, there you go.
He also works for 3 or 4 other radio stations as well, but he has a streaming service, blasttheradio.com.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, but there were many more winners and lots of good music. And one of the defining characteristics of this year's is they created, I believe, a new category for South Asian music, given
Yes.
there are so many artists, and we seem to be a hotbed for that as well. And I think the best album category had albums in 4 different languages, which is kind of rare for an award ceremony. But there you go.
Mhm.
So it's Canada, right? There's the mosaic.
Well, and I don't know if you saw the blanking out here. You didn't see it, so you don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry, you haven't seen the show. So no, you wouldn't have seen that.
I've not even seen clips or anything. I've just
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll leave it live for now, and we can talk about it tomorrow. But there was an artist who won an award near the end of the show, and I wasn't quite familiar with her work, so I dove into it a little bit last night. And she's an intriguing artist, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that for now. I'm pretty sure you'll know who I'm talking about when you see the show.
Okay, excellent. I look forward to it. I'm okay with weird artists. I was one of the few people who really got into Bjork back in the day. So
well,
I'm okay with weird.
She has certainly there's some uniqueness in because she performs live and then wins an award later towards the end of the show. And there's certainly some uniqueness in her artistry when she performs. Bjork-ish, definitely. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I want you to watch it and enjoy it and then get back to me about it tomorrow. When you
Okay, I look forward to it. All right. Thanks for the tip. Okay, kids and cubs. We're going to make this one a little bit of a fast one today because yours truly has some curling playoffs to get to. So,
and I have appointments to get to.
Yes. But whatever we don't fit in today, do not worry. We will get you tomorrow. But the big news, clearly, if you've been living under a rock, unless you've been living under a rock, has to do with the fact that, we were all expecting that there would be a phone call. And there was a phone call. And then we're wondering, well, what happened to the phone call? Well, we got the statements, the written ones first. First from, in this case, we can say Prime Minister Carney because he was acting as the Prime Minister, even though we're in a caretaker government at this moment. But first we got the statement from him, which is positive and written in such a way that you would expect of a Prime Minister of Canada and a man of his caliber and qualifications. I don't know if you're still having issues there, Mr. Grizzly, but
no, I got it.
Okay, if you can bring it up there, if you would. No, the Prime Minister's first.
Oh, sorry, that was the first one in the link. Prime Ministers. No, that's the statement. That's the first one that shows up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's clips.
Right.
I have clips, but the PM's take is that no, that's what I got there. That was
okay. Then we'll put the Prime Minister's up first. Today, do you see it? Can you read it?
Yeah, I've got it now. I've got it.
Okay.
It's because it was a collage.
Yes.
So I just clicked on the first one because that was in the link, and that was the first one that came up. So here we go. Try it again, folks. Terribly sorry for.
All right. And what did the Prime Minister have to say, Mr. Grizzly?
Well, Right Honourable Prime Minister Mark Carney. Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada. Today, the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, spoke with the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. The Prime Minister and the President had a very constructive conversation about the relationship between our two countries. The leaders agreed to begin comprehensive negotiations about a new economic and security relationship immediately following the election. In the interim, the leaders agreed that conversations between the Minister of International Trade and Intergovernmental Affairs and President of the King's Privy Council for Canada, Dominic LeBlanc, and the United States Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, I can't believe I said his name properly there. Anyway, Howard Lutnick will intensify to address immediate concerns. The Prime Minister told the President that he would be working hard for the next month to earn the right to represent Canada in those discussions. The Prime Minister informed the President that his government will implement retaliatory tariffs to protect Canadian workers and our economy, following the announcement of additional U.S. trade actions on April 2nd, 2025.
Okay. So the call seems to have gone well.
Mm-hmm.
Prime Minister Carney stated that he wanted no more of this one-off, but comprehensive negotiations about a new economic and security relationship. It seems that they have agreed to do that. Of course, right, it will have to be after the election,
right,
which the Prime Minister will work very hard to try to win, but regardless of who's there, such a meeting will be required. So that has been established. And the Prime Minister has informed the President that his government will indeed, despite the productive nature of the call, put on retaliatory tariffs. Even though Trump said, you better not do that. So we will be doing that. Right. Then the Prime Minister had a meeting with his cabinet council on Canada-U.S. relations, and you see a picture of him sitting there with Dominic LeBlanc listening as he's speaking, and all of this, the framing, the narrative, everything, whoever's people are putting this are doing this perfectly, making him look like he's got this, he's handling the job. Then we get the statement from Donald Trump. The written statement. And Mr. Grizzly.
It was an extremely productive call. We agree on many things, and we'll be meeting immediately after Canada's upcoming election to work on elements of politics, business, and all other factors that will end up being great for both the United States of America and Canada. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Playing my squeeze button.
Why does that? Oh, the ending make it sound like it's an announcement at an airport.
Yes.
So I just finished speaking with Prime Minister Mark Carney, not Governor Mark Carney of state. Canada.
Yeah.
Of Canada, not of the 51st state,
now,
but of Canada.
Do you think that plays into the fact that he was ridiculed by Trudeau on a hot mic at a G7 meeting in Europe with other European leaders who all said, I know, I can't believe this crap. He was ridiculed, possibly. And I think he held that and took it personally because nobody knows how to hold a grudge like Trump. I mean, the man will
especially when ridiculed, right?
Yeah, when you ridicule him, he'll hold a grudge. Now, if you kiss his ass and apologize to him, now you're the greatest thing in the world. You know, as evidenced by how much he slagged electric vehicles for how many years, and now they're the greatest things in the world. Of course, a check for $100 million might help with that a little bit.
I think it was 254, actually.
Well, no, the most recent one, just for the selling Teslas on the White House lawn, that was $100 million.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. Sorry, more. Yes. So, the people we sit and go like, Donald Trump didn't write this. Maybe, but some listen to some podcasts and they're pointing out the fact that politics, business is the interesting use of capitalization, which seems to be a Trump thing. But yes, and will end up being great for both the United States of America and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Spoken as if they are two individual countries, when a certain person was insisting on sovereignty being respected. Interesting. And then he was asked a question. He was asked questions. Donald Trump, and I'm presenting two answers back to back because he was asked about Canada and then asked about India. And they sort of end in the same place, but they sort of get there through different paths.
Yeah.
I know. Tech, I'm trying to do the smooth thing, but Tech is not cooperating with my smoothness.
I'm trying to make it work. I got it now.
And it's not Mr. Grizzly's fault there.
It's running at 99%. I have no idea why I'm shutting down everything in the background I can. I don't know what is going on. I honestly, I don't know what's happening. So I don't know. I'm not.
We do the best we can.
What's that?
We'll do the best we can.
Exactly. I'm not going to reboot, but that would probably fix it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to figure out what's slowing my system down. But anyway, let's have a look at this.
Do you have any questions, please?
Mr. President, Canada's Prime Minister says that they will be implementing retaliatory tariffs. You said if that were to happen, that you would be responding with large-scale tariffs. Will you be following through with that promise?
Well, absolutely. But we had a very good conversation. Mark called me today at 10 o'clock. We put out a statement. We had a very, very good talk. He's going through an election now, and we'll see what happens. But we have Liberation Day, as you know, on April 2nd, and I'm not referring to Canada, but many countries have taken advantage of us, the likes of which nobody even thought was possible for many, many decades.
What the hell is he talking about?
No, but before, it was like, all countries take advantage of us, including Canada. They're the nastiest. They're the worst. I'm not talking about Canada here, but all countries take it. Like, what?
Really, really backed up on that. Yeah, he's really backtracked. Alan Thompson's comment here on Twitter. He says he was belittling Justin Trudeau because he thought he was like a little kid to him. Maybe. But either way, I think he sees Mark Carney as an equal, although Trump sees everybody beneath him. But
remember, Trump loves celebrity, and Mark Carney is a celebrity that even gets an audience with the king.
Yeah. So, interesting backtrack. All right. And here's the other thing, okay? Justin Trudeau has a light, airy way of speaking in a polite, unique Canadian manner. I'm not belittling him. That's just who he is and the way he speaks. Mark Carney comes across as, walk softly, I'm carrying a gigantic stick and I will beat you over the freaking head with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the vibe I think he gets from Carney, because Carney's not screwing around. And it was his speech the day before that I think put the fear of whatever deity you wish to believe in into Trump.
Now, remember, Trump made a point of here to say, Mark called me at 10 a.m., but remember, it was them who called Mark the previous day to arrange the call, to arrange this call.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, after Carney's speech about that relationship is over, I think it scared him, because he's like, oh, shit, we were trying to make them back down. Economically speaking, we were going to crush them and then, have them and take them. Oh, they don't need us? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll continue. Oh, of course, and now it does this.
Of course. So, anyway, just to keep going there. He responds that's basically the most of it to his response to Canada, and it goes back to India, and it's like, India. Well, he and Modi are very, very good friends, and they'll eventually, he ends up saying like this. I think that Canada and the U.S. We'll get to a good place and like this. And he says the same thing about India, but India is one of the most terrifying countries, and even though I like Modi, we're good friends. And so but in the previous one, it's like we've been being robbed blind. Well, not Canada, but we've been being robbed blind. So it's like, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are giving them an off-ramp here, it would seem. And it seems for now, now remember, this is Trump. You can only believe it once it lasts. And you can only believe it for the moment. But for now, it seems we got a little bit of silence on some of the nastiness until the election's over. Now, of course, we got Liberation Day coming on the 2nd, and we're going to see how well we're going to be treated. Let's put it that way with this. Now, we're going to get smacked anyway. What do you think? But now he's tried to create this system, whereas before it was going to be universal. Everybody was the same thing. That now there are going to be levels, like membership has its privileges, and you can go up a tier or something like that, depending or whatever it is. But it keeps changing by the second. Right now,
I gotta reboot. My system's crashing, so I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Sorry, folks. Just
okay.
Technologically speaking, I won't be able to do the show unless I do this. So you can keep rolling, sir. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay, absolutely. So we have the president taking a different tack. And you know me, I'm very much, that's one thing I say on the show all the time. Whenever I see new behavior, and that's always curious to me. I'm always suspicious of new behavior in politics, because you don't always know what the motive is behind it when it starts. And the motive is usually always first sold to us as somewhat noble or in our best interest or the best interest of the nation. And then later on, as more details emerge and you get the fine print, you see whether or not that actually is indeed the case, or if something else is afoot. So, for the moment, right, we'll be cautiously optimistic that there is some type of reset here, but wouldn't bank on it too much. Now, the Prime Minister, of course, had some reaction to that, some statements that he made to it, and it is what you would expect. I'm just trying to bring it up here, unfortunately, and now it is the copy and paste on my section that does not seem to be working all that well for me in order to be able to bring that up. But there we go. We'll try this way. So the Prime Minister was reacting. He was, I believe, at the Port of Montreal when he spoke about it for the first time after the call. And made it clear that from his end, it was a productive call, and that things were on a good path, tempered expectations, stating that it was the beginning of the negotiations, and that we shouldn't be wondering, oh, does this mean he's going to back off on the tariffs right away and all that kind of stuff, right? That's not what's happening here. But it does set a positive climate for the beginning of the negotiations that are to come. As well, he reiterated again the historical comment that he made on Friday or on Thursday, saying that the relationship between the two nations economically and in terms of defense or security, in terms of deeper integration, is indeed over. So if you think it was a flub,
no,
or maybe he stuttered,
no, he did not.
He didn't, because this was after the call. this press conference here. So I don't know if you have the clips there, Mr. Grizzly.
Yeah, we'll
for Carney's
continue.
take.
We'll continue with the Trump clip, and then we'll go to Carney. And,
Okay.
Yeah, I've restarted the clip. Sorry, we were only 40 seconds, so
Absolutely, it's okay.
contextually this makes sense.
Do you have any questions, please?
Mr. President, Canada's Prime Minister says that they will be implementing retaliatory tariffs. You said if that were to happen, that you would be responding with large-scale tariffs. Will you be following through with that promise?
Well, absolutely, but we had a very good conversation. Mark called me today at 10 o'clock. We put out a statement. We had a very, very good talk. He's going through an election now, and we'll see what happens, but we have Liberation Day, as you know, on April 2nd, because, and I'm not referring to Canada, but many countries have taken advantage of us, the likes of which nobody even thought was possible for many, many decades, And, that has to stop. We're going to end up with a very good relationship with Canada and a lot of the other countries. Some we probably won't. It won't be so pleasant, but I think most countries are agreeing with me. They actually, many of them have actually apologized. They said, look, we have taken advantage. And I don't blame them as much as I blame the people that stood, in this case I can say the men, because so far they've been all men, haven't they? But the men that sat right there and behind the Resolute desk, mostly the Resolute desk, I don't know if you know, you have a choice of 7 desks. The Resolute is the one I like, but some chose other ones. But they sat right behind a desk right in this location, and they let our country be hurt very badly. But I didn't do that. But we had a very good talk, the Prime Minister and myself, and I think things are going to work out very well between Canada and the United States. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, how is the talks with India on tariff going on? And what is the expectations from India? How much do you want them?
Well, as you know, Prime Minister Modi was here just recently, and we've always been very good friends. India is one of the highest tariffing nations in the world. You know that. I know. Thank you for shaking your head, but it's brutal. It's brutal. They're very smart, and he's a very smart man and a great friend of mine, actually. And we had very good talks. I think it's going to work out very well between India and our country. Very, very well. And I want to say you have a great Prime Minister.
Okay, so we get to the end part. I think it's going to work very well between our countries or whatnot, but just like, no, but not Canada, not like this, but India. Oh, you got your high tariffs. Oh, I see you nodding there, but it's true. Oh man, that guy. All right, then we get to our Prime Minister, as I mentioned, at 2:24. He's at the Port of Montreal, giving his impressions. He goes back and forth between French and English in there, so I'll have to do a little simultaneous for you. But
today, President Trump and I spoke on the phone. We had a very constructive discussion, and we agreed to begin comprehensive negotiations about a new economic and security relationship between our two sovereign countries immediately following the federal election. I made it clear that I will be working very hard with my colleagues behind me. I will be working very hard over the next month to earn the right to represent Canada in those discussions. Dans l'intervalle, nous avons convenu que les conversations entre le ministre
in the interval, we have concluded that conversations between Minister LeBlanc, Secretary Litnick, will intensify to deal with our immediate preoccupations. And I've told him that my government will put in place counter tariffs to protect Canadian workers, following new measures that the government will take on April 2nd. The U.S. government will take. We will always protect our workers, build our economy, and keep Canada strong. What is clear is that the relationships between Canada and the United States have changed. We haven't changed. We remain the same.
effort. Right now, as Canadians, we have to look out for ourselves, and we have to look out for each other. Canada is strong, but we're even stronger when we are united. And our response to these latest tariffs is to fight, to protect, and to build.
All right. Then keep from 8:25 to 9:42. This is Carney reiterating what he said. So, like I said, he did not stutter. He's being very clear, even after the phone call with President Trump.
Over the coming weeks, months, and years, we must fundamentally reimagine our economy. We must ensure that Canada can succeed in a drastically different world. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over. What exactly the U.S. does next is unclear, but what is clear is that we as Canadians have agency. We have power. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous. We can control our destiny. We can make ourselves more productive. We can make ourselves more competitive. We can build a stronger and more resilient economy by breaking down internal barriers and building one Canadian economy. We can diversify our trading partners, including through new trade infrastructure. That's what I'm squarely focused on as Prime Minister. My solemn promise is to stand up for Canadian workers, to stand up for Canadian businesses. We will stand up for our history, our values, and our sovereignty.
Right? So, very clear, this is the direction we're going, regardless. Right? So that was the main meat in that announcement. Of course, he reiterated things that he mentioned the day before about making it such that the waiting period for EI will be eliminated, and you won't have to wait for your employment separation report, that type of stuff, and that there will be some measures to help businesses defer GST and HST payments for that, and that every dollar in counter tariffs is going to go to support industry and workers and that type of stuff. So the stuff that we mentioned before on the show, but he reiterated it, that is still the plan at that moment. Then we get to the Q&A session. He gets a couple of questions that are tricky. The first one is from a French journalist, and I will play the answer in French. I'm not sure if I gave you the time step for the answer from French on this one, but I think I did because this one's particularly interesting. But it comes from an accusation that the Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet had leveled on the Prime Minister, now the Liberal leader in this case, now in this context, now that he's speaking, after the phone call.
Monsieur Blanchet a dit que c'était prétentieux de votre part de conclure ou de déjà céduler une rencontre après l'élection avec Monsieur Trump, parce que c'est pas certain nécessairement que vous allez être la personne élue le 28 avril. Donc, qu'est-ce que vous répondez à Monsieur Blanchet?
Okay, so basically, Monsieur Blanchet has said that it was rather pretentious of you to schedule a phone call with the president after the election.
And that's, I'm not going to argue.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is, and as evidenced by the letter, we'll discuss this further after the election. I'm like, so you.
Yeah, but in the letter, he also says that he's going to work hard to earn the right. In the announcement, he said, but he also, his problem is that he announces that after he announces that he scheduled the meeting and not before.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not, while I will be working very hard to earn the right to do this, like this, the leaders of the Canada and United States will have to meet after the election, regardless who wins the election. I have made sure that will happen. We have scheduled a meeting to talk like this. If I win I will work hard to win the right to represent. It just comes across as a little saying it after comes across as a little scratchy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I read that letter, I went, Oh, so he figures he's got it on lock, does he? That's how it came
Yeah,
across to me.
it does come across a bit that way.
Premièrement, ce qui est clair, est que M. Blanchet ne va pas assister à cette réunion.
First thing that which is clear is that Mr. Blanchet is not going to be participating in that meeting.
Comme je viens de dire, je vais travailler sans relâche afin de gagner l'appui des Canadiens, des Canadiens et des Québécois et des Québécoises. Il y aura une réunion entre le Premier ministre du Canada et le Président des États-Unis. Ça, c'est le résultat. C'est un des résultats de la conversation aujourd'hui. Je veux être là. Selon moi, ça vaut mieux pour le Québec et le Canada si j'étais là, mais je serais là, mais on verra. C'est la décision des Canadiens et des Canadiens.
So basically saying, I said earlier, right, that it's, if I'm able to win this, right? I didn't say it's a guarantee, but no matter what happens, there is going to be a meeting between the president and the leader of Canada. That was one of the many results of this meeting, and that I will work very hard. I mean, in my opinion, I believe that Quebec and Canada would be best served if I was at that meeting. Mm-hmm. So, but but we'll see. That's a decision that belongs to Canadians. So he's got the right answer. It's just in the presentation, had he presented that before, all the caveats, with those caveats stated, there will be a meeting between them.
Yes.
Probably would have not opened the door to that question. But of course, you heard the giggles from the people in back when Mr. Blanchet's allegation, because they know it's there's an expression in French, c'est tiré par les cheveux. It's pulled by, it literally means you're pulling this by the hair. Mm-hmm. Stretching a bit.
Splitting hairs would be the Anglo, I think.
Probably.
Terminology. Yeah.
Probably, yeah, in that sense. All right, 1627, he's asked about, because in these questions, people try to ask, what was discussed, and says, well, we never tell you what the discussion is. Mm. So this journalist gets at it through a very interesting way.
Mr. Carney, Kyle Duggan from the Canadian Press. Can you give us a sense of the tone that Donald Trump struck with you on the call? Did he call us the 51st state? Did he call you the governor? Or was he more respectful like he was in the Oval Office today?
It was, as I say, it was a very productive, his words very productive, mine very constructive. They mean the same thing. It was a very cordial, substantive call. Look, this was a call between two leaders of their respective governments, between two sovereign nations. It was a call focused on, the spirit of the call was both cordial and focused on making progress. And that's why you had several things. One is an agreement, which is what I wanted, what I think he wanted as well. And I've been clear about this for a number of weeks, to have a comprehensive discussion on our broader economic and security partnership. We agreed to that. As also to have intensive discussions between our ministers, including obviously the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who kindly is here, and who can withstand absolutely anything, including this. Elle travaille sans relâche, tout le temps, oui, absolutely, with her counterpart, Secretary Rubio. So those discussions will go on intensively. So positive, cordial, constructive, focused on action, exactly what we want.
And did you and the premiers decide on anything in the meeting today?
Well, the purpose of the meeting today, which was a little, just under an hour and a half, was to, largely for me to debrief the premiers on where we stood. Secondly, to hear directly from them on their perspectives on two things. One is on the countermeasures that the Government of Canada, these are decisions of the Government of Canada, countermeasures the Government of Canada could take. So wanted to have their input for that. It's very important. Secondly, to continue the discussion on how we're going to build this economy. and to reinforce those discussions. And in both respects, it was very timely and helpful to have those discussions. Thank you.
Next question. Good afternoon, Ashley Burke, CBC News. President Trump's tone changed today when he talked about Canada. It seemed more positive, and same thing with the call. Do you trust that? Is there a strategy there?
There's always a strategy in a negotiation. Look, I think we've been clear about our priorities, how we're going to approach this. We've been clear that we have other options. We have other trading options, which we're going to continue to build, to be absolutely clear. We're going to continue to develop those trading options. We've also been clear about our priorities here domestically and how we're going to build out this country. Perhaps there was a different impression before about how strong Canada really is.
You've said that you wouldn't sit down with Mr. Trump and talk to him unless he respects Canada's sovereignty. Did you convey that to the president today? And if so, what did he say?
The president respected Canada's sovereignty today, both in his private and public comments. Monsieur le Président a respecté la souveraineté de notre pays dans la conversation privée et dans ses commentaires publics. Et on va... Well, ça suffit, monsieur. I mean, yeah. Je suis tenté d'ajouter des mots, mais non.
Okay, so I wanted to put that little bit in French there because as she's answering in French, he's like sit there, and again, it's a little thing with the ease, but he's talking, he wants to keep going, and then he stops and says, I think that's enough. I'm tempted to continue, but I think I should probably stop there. Now notice some emphasis on some words, right? Today, the president respected sovereignty, right? So, he's asked another question here at 2124 that could be tricky. It's not a gotcha question, but it's a question that can get you.
You spent many years as a central banker assessing how policies affect the economy, along with other data and so on.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
When you look at President Trump's policies, if they're all implemented, do you believe they will cause a recession in the U.S., and how would that impact Canada?
Well, the second part of your question is easy, which is a recession in the United States always negatively impacts Canada. It's we have had examples when the U.S. has had a recession and we haven't had a recession. I'm trying to remember who was governor of the Bank of Canada at the time that happened. Oh, it was me. But it's relatively unusual. I think that these policies, I'll say the following, and I'll go back to what I said earlier. The president is intending to have a quite significant transformation of the American economy. Repatriate a bunch of activity, necessarily a number of industries would be restructured, and that will bring some frictions to that economy. Could bring some inflation. It could bring, likely to bring a slowing of growth. When you do big restructurings of economy, that's what tends to happen. It depends the pace at which that proceeds, which in part depends on, for the U.S. economy on the outcome of the negotiations with, we would argue, and I think with very much justification, the Americans' most important trading partner. So the prospect of constructive discussions, productive discussions, comprehensive engagement is positive for the American economy, it's positive for the Canadian economy.
All right. So I had a couple of other things, but given that we need to get through the show, we'll stop at with the Prime Minister's comments or the Liberal leader's comments at this moment. It's kind of hard to distinguish what to call them in this case because the comments are that of the Prime Minister because they were negotiated, but right now he's not on the call, so no longer caretaker, so it's the Liberal leader. It's very confusing at this point when we're in a situation where it can't just be caretaker government all the way through because nothing is happening, as is usually the case in our elections, but not this time. So trying to use the proper terminology at the proper time. I might not always get it right, but we stress that there is a difference, and hopefully you're able to follow along. Hopefully we're able to do it well enough that you're able to follow along. But definitely during the call with Trump, when he was meeting with the cabinet U.S. board relations, when he's meeting with his advisory board, and when he had the call with all the first ministers, all that period was definitely prime minister stuff. Reporting back on what he did technically is prime minister stuff, but clearly he's at a campaign stop, right? So that's liberal leader, but talking about what he did in the moments when he was acting as prime minister. So, like I said, a little confusing, but hopefully we've given you the civics piece enough so that you can see when it happens on your own over here. There's more that happened over the course of the weekend, but I think we will end there, Mr. Grizzly, unless you have something that you would want to add.
No, nothing really to add to that. I mean, the press conference went on a little while longer. There's a few more questions, but there's nothing really to add to it right now. I mean,
there was a lot in the press conference that had some stuff specific to Quebec, so asking about supply management and how he would react to the constitutional challenge on the language laws and on religious symbols, which are very important. They're good answers, but hopefully there will be a little section where we'll be talking about Quebec's related stuff a little more, and I'll be able to put those in there. They weren't vital for the tariff and the response to Trump part, but they were still very important questions in the election, because right now where the votes are concentrated and whatnot, it seems that Quebec is going to be the main battleground ultimately. So you want to watch for that. Before we go, because we didn't do it at the start of the show, just taking a quick look at the polls. Some individual polls are tightening. It's not a reason for panic. Again, there's been lots of analysis out there saying, given the superfluous amount of vote in certain areas and not enough, and every party has its concentration where it's stronger and all that kind of stuff, right? There's not very much liberal concentration in Saskatchewan and Alberta, even though there's projected at the moment to win more seats there than they have in a long while. But in Atlantic Canada, they have an overabundance of votes. So if they drop 3 or 4% in Atlantic Canada, there'll be no material change. So you're seeing sometimes some little shifts, but overall, with all the polling aggregators, the overall trend is still increasing seat counts, regardless of what the numbers say. So with 338, we have 192 for the Liberals and 125 for the Conservatives, 19 for the Bloc, which is under 20 is absolutely disastrous, 6 for the NDP, and 1 for the Greens. A gentle correction on ourselves. We thought that the Green seat would be Mike Morse's in Kitchener that would be challenged. That apparently is the safe one. It's Elizabeth May in Sandwich Gulf Islands who's being challenged. And apparently Jagmeet Singh, seen in a seat in the Burnaby area, is also a very close race. And if what we saw in Cult Montreal about Pierre Poilievre's seat, we could potentially have an election where all the leaders except for Mr. Carney lose their seat. That would be interesting. All right, but hey, it's a weird election. With CBC Poll Tracker as well, we're seeing 194 seats for Liberals, 125 Conservative, Bloc Québécois 20, New Democrat 3, Green 1. So now CBC Poll Tracker is also showing Elizabeth May losing her seat. And then with Polling Canada, we're seeing 197 Liberal, 119. This is the only one that shows the Conservatives are under 120, and with the Liberals, if you're rounding up the number, getting close to 200. But all of them right now are showing in the 190 areas for seat count. So seats keep on growing. There might be a couple of little issues here. The Liberals have an issue with a MP called Paul Chiang, who apparently made some statements about might be a good idea to let Chinese police forces or security forces or whatever that seem to be operating here to handle someone. And so far, the party has not rejected him as a candidate. It would seem to me that would be a really good idea to do as soon as possible if those things actually did happen as they're being represented, because you do not need noise at all Just cut.
The Conservatives, of course, making huge hay with this, and I didn't know anything about it, so I did a bit of a dive, not a deep dive, but a bit of a dive, and it's like, I think he said what he said. It certainly looks like it.
Yeah.
And he came out and apologized for it, and I'm like, bro, sorry, you're finished. You got to go.
Well, it seems to be that they're trying to get away with the he apologized for it, so it's okay. Now, the Liberals haven't had much activity over the course of the weekend. They're running a leader, sort of leaders. Sorry, they're running as if they are in the lead, so they didn't do too much. Most of the airtime has been filled up mainly by the Conservatives and a little bit by the NDP over the course of the weekend, and a lot by the Bloc. So that issue, one could maybe say that they tried that as a balloon, putting it up, but it's a lead balloon. The next time he actually addresses the nation, somehow he's got to tell us that it's been done. If he doesn't want to, don't be so confident that you think
millstone around his neck. He needs to move him.
The Conservatives are still polling at 37. It's not like the bottom has dropped out under them, right? So you do not want to cause reasons.
That's neither here nor there. This man cannot be allowed to run. He's like, well, I had a momentary lapse of... Bro, you got to remember who you are and what you're trying to represent. You cannot say things like that.
No, you can't.
And you did. So you got to...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is not a George Shahal thing, just removing your opponent's material from, which is bad and is a crime.
Yes.
Right? But this is like saying, hey, maybe we should just allow people to be rendered.
Not cool.
Yeah. No. No,
you can't. No, that doesn't fall in line with party policy. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. So it is not done yet.
No.
Yeah. This is not. Oops, I
go.
misspoke. We apologize. Okay.
No.
Oh, that's good enough. You can stay. He gets to go.
No. It's an unforgivable sin. You don't get to participate in democracy as a representative thereof because of what you said. What you said was undemocratic. What you said was fascist. You don't get to run. Simple as that. Simple as that.
So we'll see if this will become the first big mistake, or the big one. There was the day in French that didn't go very well there as well for Mr. Carney. But this is one that you can't back down on here.
No. Well, and Saucy Seawitch, the Liberal MP that made comments about sending his Conservative counterpart to the Chinese consulate, needs to go. It's unacceptable. And if this was a Conservative, Liberals would be screeching.
Exactly.
Justifiably so. He needs to go. Period.
Yep.
Period. So you run an election and there's no Liberal unless there's somebody to fill the space. There's no Liberal in that riding. Period.
But I think it might still be early enough.
Maybe. But either way, he has to go.
But he has to go. Yeah.
That's unacceptable speech. Nope. There's no place for that in this country.
Yep.
There isn't.
All right, do we have a show, Mr. Grizzly?
We do indeed, sir.
All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. Please tell your peeps and poops all about us. Now, if you'd like to make sure you don't miss an audio episode, you do not have to. Thanks to the Ray Girl, podpage.com is the place where you would go / the True North Eager Beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words, or you scan the QR code that will appear here below my chin. And when you go there and click on subscribe, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. Now, if you do not, if you want to help us in other ways, please go to our YouTube page, True North Eager Beaver Media, and click on our buttons, like, share, and subscribe. When you do, it helps us with the algorithm, and we thank you so very much for that. And if you would like to help us in yet other ways, our coffee page is where you will find the Emergency Hydration Fund, which is basically our tip jar. So if you like what we do and you would like to encourage us to do more because you'd like to keep your news by Canadians for Canadians, then please leave us a little token of appreciation there. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, or scan the QR code that's right by Mr. Grizzly's head right there. Because democracy is something that you do. Remember, kids and cubs, to plan your vote. Look for poll worker jobs if you'd be interested in participating in the process there, or finding out how you can volunteer for your favorite candidate. If you are in Manitoba and you are a PC party supporter and registered to vote in the leadership race, remember the deadline for your mail-in ballots is April 22nd, and the results will be announced on April 26th. Mr. Grizzly, do you have any words of wisdom?
Be kind to and gentle with yourselves, really. We're in a very topsy-turvy, upside-down world right now. Lord knows what we're going to have on April 29th. Hopefully, we have a stable, sound government. And in this case, I think Prime Minister Mark Carney remaining in the position is the best thing for us as a nation as we head into trade talks with the United States of America, as we diminish those roles and increase our trade roles with the European Union and other nations. I think, look, fingers crossed on the 29th, Carney becomes Prime Minister. And I'm not saying Liberal government, because he's more of a progressive conservative than a left-leaning Liberal. He's a left-leaning conservative. That's my personal opinion. And I don't have a problem with this. Much like, look at Wab Kinew. His party is the New Democratic Party, but he's more in line with Joe Clark conservatism than anything else. And some of his policies are quite far left, and some of his other policies are very centrist and a little right. And I think we're going to see that same thing with Prime Minister Carney. And I think it's the best thing for the nation as we negotiate going forward.
All right. As Mr. Grizzly said, please be kind to and gentle with yourselves. Thank you for whoever scanned. We really appreciate it. Mr. Grizzly, if you have an Easter egg, I will let you take it because I'm off to catch my bus so I can go hurry hard.
All right, sir.
Have a
I do
terrific
have a couple
day.
Easter eggs. We'll see you. Take care, brother. And I'll come back right on the other side of the credits here.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
Well, hey, welcome back once again. It's just your angry grizzly in the House of Commons. And it looks like I got to adjust my green screen a bit here because I'm getting a little bit of flickery there, and I don't care for that. There, that should be a little bit better. A little bit better. It's the shirt I wore this morning. So I do have a couple of quick hits for you that I thought would be interesting. There is an audio clip. Well, there's a audio video clip of Trump, but the audio is so bad that what I'll do is I'll clean it up and then I'll play it possibly tomorrow, because it's all you hear is it's on Air Force One, so it's nothing but background noise. But I wanted to share this with you quickly because I think this is important. And that was weird. Shouldn't have done that. I don't know what happened there. Marine Le Pen banned from running for French president after embezzling U.S. or EU funds. She was handed a jail sentence and an immediate 5-year ban from political office, excluding her from running in the French presidential election in 2027. Now, some folks are going to say, "Oh, that's the corrupt government who did blah blah." I'm like, no, man. She was found guilty by a jury of her peers. You don't want her as president of France to begin with, because she's more in line with Trump and Trump's policies than he is, I think. So there is that. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight here, this is, it was just sent to me by Uncover the News a moment ago, which I think is just a wonderful piece of solidarity. Mexican supermarkets supporting Canadian products. So how cool is that? Way to go, Mexico. Thank you. We're doing the same here in Canada, trying to support as many Mexican products as we can. And I think that more and more Canadians who would oftentimes head south at this time of the year, instead of traveling to Florida or Texas or California, are traveling to Mexico, where the dollar goes a lot further. So, hey, To our Mexican brothers and sisters, thank you for supporting us in our time of, well, whatever the hell you want to put a label on this time, because it is truly, truly a bizarre upside down world. Alrighty, I'm going to go. We will see you tomorrow. I promise you we'll be back with a little bit more for tomorrow. Probably a longer format show. Going to try and cut them back a little bit because after 2.5 hours, I think is a little bit too long, to be honest with you. And I've gotten some feedback from some folks saying the same. It's 2.5 hours. It's great if you're in the live chat because it's very interactive. But if you're watching on the replay or watching later in the day, 2.5 hours tends to be a little bit long for some people. So I'm going to look at clipping stuff, but for some reason, YouTube is not allowing the clip function on the channel right now, and I have no idea why. I've sought help. I've done every possible thing I can to figure out the reasoning, and it's not giving me a reason. The clip function is just not there. So instead I launched shorts, and I can create 10 and 15-minute clips through OBS, which I will get to work on in the future. I don't have time today. I have a million things I need to take care of, but I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, take care. Bye.